This is Spotlight Omaha. Spotlight Omaha is a local podcast that highlights local businesses and influential movers and shakers in the Omaha business community. Spotlight Omaha is brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Now, from the Pyramid Contractor Studios, the host of Spotlight Omaha, Jimmy Allen.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome inside the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making a difference in our community today. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. If your company is not showing up at the top of Google searches, maybe you need some help with website design, or you need a whole team to manage your social media profile, check out pixelfiremarketing.com and engage your business online today. Joining us inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio is Megan Friel with the Collective for Hope. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, nice to be here with you, Jimmy.
The Collective for Hope has been around for a long time, but has gone through a couple of name changes and kind of an overall umbrella of what you guys do. Can you explain to people what the Collective for Hope is?
Yeah, so we formed in the late 90s, early 2000s as Teddy Bear Hollow.
Yeah.
And our primary focus during that time was children.
Mm-hmm.
The question at that time was, can children even grieve? Do they grieve?
Oh,
and
that's a great
so
question.
that was a huge obstacle that we had to overcome. And over the last 20, 25 years, we've expanded to now provide services to children, teens, tweens.
Still giving out teddy bears.
Yes, still teddy bears are a huge focus. But we went and absorbed some of our pregnancy and infant loss sections, branches. And now we're proud to be the Collective for Hope, covering a wide array of losses and different stories that people may have.
Loss is tough, whether it be a parent, whether it be a child, whether it be a sibling, whoever. Why is it so important to give people a safe space to grieve, not feel judged, and things like that?
I think what I hear most from those that enter our doors, who we interact with, is they feel so isolated, like they are alone. People don't understand them anymore. And it seems like such a roadblock in their lives. They're not focusing on much except for the loss. And it's hard to, I suppose, communicate that with people who are non-grieving. They don't understand why that's your focus, the get over it mentality.
Sure.
Which
everybody that's grieving wants to hear. Just get over it.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, they're in a happier place now. But you're thinking over their whole lives and how your life is going to progress now. And so people really find that isolating. And so we try to give them the community, the connection, people going through it at the same time.
Is that what makes giving a 5-year-old that's dealing with the loss of teddy bear and a mother who's just lost an infant the same? Is that they're both dealing with it, just one knows how to deal with it maybe a little bit differently than the other?
I don't think anyone, no matter age, just knows how to deal with it. I think we try to accommodate for the different nuances, especially in things like pregnancy and infant loss.
Yeah.
They are so stigmatized, similarly to suicide losses, and some of those more just, I guess, where the losses where society gives an eye towards it.
Yeah, and as somebody, and I don't think my wife would mind me sharing this, somebody that we've dealt with a couple of pregnancy losses, like it was just like, okay, well, what are you going to try again?
Yeah,
which is probably the worst question you could probably ask somebody in that situation. And having a sounding board or dealing with people that have dealt with loss before, it's nice to be able to have a conversation with somebody that knows exactly how you're feeling rather than somebody that tells you they know how you're feeling, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, exactly. And even if it's not similar losses, if maybe someone experienced the death of a sibling versus someone that experienced the death of a spouse, I think when you find those differences too, you can still see those commonalities in how you're processing the death too. Yeah, exactly. And so honestly, sometimes I feel like the people that don't have similar stories learn so much more from each other because they realize, I mean, the emotions are just so...
Because at times like that, it's like the world is against you, and a lot of people have their lapse in faith or what have it. And this is probably a poor way to put this, but it's probably nice to know that you're not the only one dealing with something either.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The lapse of faith is a huge grief response. We see it all the time. And just that misunderstanding and that kind of antagonism towards the world around you, like you mentioned.
Absolutely.
It's why is this happening to me?
Right.
Why this person?
Because we're the main character in our stories, right?
I mean, yeah. I think you got to look at life like that sometimes, but it's so true. You're losing a key person in your story.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's huge. So
one of the most difficult times of the year for people that have suffered loss is the holidays.
Yeah.
You guys do Hope for the Holidays. What exactly is Hope for the Holidays?
Yeah, Hope for the Holidays is a great event. So we hold it during the holiday season, usually a few weeks prior to the Christmas time.
Sure.
During that event, we always like to take the lens of honoring the person that we lost, but also healing.
In what ways do you do that? The honoring portion, sorry.
Yeah, the honoring portion. So we often turn to things like photos. How can we incorporate photos and legacies like that? So we'll often do photo frames or ornaments where you can write down names. Yes. And also public displays of the person that you lost to. We love to show a community of people impacted by loss and honoring those names still too. So we'll also do large community pieces. Like we have our chalkboard in our facility or a sun catchers where people can make a little dangle to signify
sun catcher was. Okay.
to signify that one person or as many losses as they might have too.
I was scrolling through the website. The bottom it gives a portion for education and training. What all does that include? Is that for people that are coming to to grieve or to be a part of the community?
Yeah, so we love when anyone wants to come to us to learn more about grief. However, our trainings are more for people who do have those lived experiences, but are maybe in that place to provide that healing for others, that support for others. So maybe they're a year or two past their death or that loss, and so they're wanting to give back now, having learned what they might have learned in their grief journey up to that point. And so our trainings are usually about 2 days. We do them quarterly. You learn all about developmental grief responses. You learn how to support others, and you just learn how to be a better friend and support system in the community, no matter if you're going to volunteer with us or in a grief support group.
Does that seem to be kind of I guess hurdle would be the right word for somebody who is dealing with loss, trying to get back to some version of normalcy or what their life was prior to it, is the people around them? Does that seem to be the biggest hurdle for everybody?
I think so. I think it's the people around them, that support system. A lot of times people are lacking in that.
Yeah.
And I mean, in the United States today, we're seeing an isolation epidemic just in general, people feeling lonely.
Sure.
And I think when you are
Is that a pandemic thing maybe? Is it still like a portion, maybe something to do with like what happened in 2019, 2020?
I think so. I mean, that loss of just third spaces for people to go to, loss of hobbies. And I think that's only just made so much worse and more evident when you are grieving, when you're losing someone who was a support or an important person in your life. And so I think then you really have to take a step back and look at who is left, who is there to care for you, care for your support system, your family, maybe if you have one. And that can be truly isolating. So
if somebody's dealing with loss or just needs to talk to somebody, how can they get involved or contact you guys and become part of your guys' I don't want to say family, but culture?
Yeah. Our community, we have a ton of open groups. So those happen most often 2 times a month. So you can register. All of our registration is free. You just go in and provide a little bit of information for us in our reporting and to get to know you before we even meet you in person. You can always call us, email us. We'd love to talk to you.
How can they do that?
Yeah, you can call us at 402-502-2773 or visit our website, thecollectiveforhope.org. You can find all of our contact information on there, and we'd be happy to listen to your experience, maybe who you lost, the circumstances surrounding it, and direct you to maybe the best group for your situation.
We're catching up with Megan from the Collective of Hope here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. You guys have a big day coming up at the end, like not the end, the middle of this month, May 17th, the Collective for Hope Remembrance Day. What is that, and how can people participate?
So the Remembrance Day and Walk is our 27th annual walk. So we have been so happy to see how it's evolved. At that day, it's similar to a community event. We want people to enjoy each other's presence. However, we're all there in that memory, in that
Sure.
honoring of someone. So again, those themes of legacy and healing.
Sure.
So we want to provide a space for people to think about their person, think about the impact they have made on their life up to the death and even continuing on, and provide them some opportunities to figure out how they are healing, where they are on their grief journey, where they might be able to find some hope. So getting them connected to other people who with similar experiences or non-similar experiences,
Sure, right,
but just community establishment.
You mentioned it. The Collective for Hope is free.
Yeah.
How do you guys raise funds, and how can people donate if they are looking to donate to a nonprofit?
Yeah, so we are solely operated on donations, grants, just the well-being of the community, people
Sure.
who understand that this is something that others will experience in Omaha and beyond. So we have multiple ways to donate. The easiest direction I'd point someone towards is through the website.
Okay.
We are even doing for the event itself. We have a number of donations.
Remembrance Day, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
the Remembrance Day and Walk on May 17th, excuse me. And so we have a number of options to support that event directly, paying or donating towards the park rental, donating towards some of the activities that we'll have, like bubbles. We're going to have a huge bubble party. So you can donate a few bubbles to participants.
And the park is again?
Miller's Landing.
Miller's Landing,
So right by Conagra,
Yep.
beautiful, right on the riverfront.
Sure. Right next to Gene Leahy Mall for anybody that's looking for a reference point. How did you get involved with the Collective for Hope, and why is this such a big deal for you personally?
Yeah, for me personally, I lost my mom when I was, thank you, when I was 15. And so a few years afterwards, I was still in high school and I had known about the Collective for Hope, then Grief's Journey.
Yeah.
I had known about them, but never participated in any of the group's services. And so at that point, I was really wanting to get involved, but I didn't feel like a group was right for me at that time.
Sure.
So I volunteered. I was 18 and I volunteered at this exact event, actually. I painted faces.
Okay.
So I still remember some of the stories, some of the little butterflies and rainbows that I got to draw on the kids that were there, and the stories that I heard from them, their parents that they were missing too, their siblings, whoever it might be. And I realized it's hard to talk about death. And it's hard to talk about death, especially if you've experienced it yourself.
Do you feel like that's because people don't want to be vulnerable?
I definitely feel. And I feel like we are just a death adverse country.
Sure.
Everything is all about survival. I mean, you go into a hospital and the first question you ask is, how long do I have left to live? Right?
Yeah.
You're not even thinking about what might happen.
Sure.
What might happen to me, to my family, to the people I care about.
Right.
When it inevitably does come to death.
Right.
And I think it makes people really uncomfortable to think about that ending.
Yeah, well, I think for the people the people that are survived by that person, judgment is passed so easily, right? And we're worried about dealing with, well, if I show that I'm sad or I'm worried or whatever, how is that going to be reflected on me? Because I just don't want to hear about it either, right?
Yeah.
And it's just incredible. Like, and I feel like that's like the social media era where it's like, hey, my loved one is dying, and it's like, well, people die every day. Probably not the response we're looking for here, guys.
Right? Because it is so personal, but you see it all the time. And so it's that weird balance of how am I grieving, emotionally? How am I affected by what I see around me? And then what can I do moving forward? What can I do for myself too?
Shannon on LinkedIn wants to know, how can I volunteer my time if I have availability on the 17th to come down and help at the park?
Yeah, so we have a number of shifts available. So everything from setup right at 9 o'clock in the morning to the event itself. You can help people make their own little sun catchers. We'll be painting them. You'll be
Sure.
able to talk to them, help them pick out the paints they want to do, or even help in our memory tent where people can write letters to their loved ones, write their name.
This is obviously the next event. What are some of your favorite events that you guys do throughout the year? Because you guys do more than just one. So what are some of your favorite events on the calendar for a Collective for Hope?
Yeah, actually, some of my favorite events, we just concluded an art workshop series with the
Okay.
Nebraska Arts Council. So we
Very cool.
held, 7 or 8 different art workshops. So some of them were for supporters, volunteers, staff. Others were for specific age groups. And during those, we did everything from watercolor. So we explored our grief, we explored how we are healing through watercolor images, or we even did a block printing. That was my favorite
What's a
workshop.
block printing? I don't know what that is.
So it's where you take a little piece of basically rubber and you take a knife and you get
Okay.
to etch in a design that you want to
Oh, like a stamp almost. Yeah, okay.
a stamp. And so we had teens and tweens doing that. And the images they made were just beautiful. One I can recall is a set of 4 images of how this young person was
Mhm.
feeling. That absolute dichotomy of emotions, how I can feel at peace and comfortable and like I don't even see that grief right in front of me at one point, but then also how I might just slip into feelings of despair,
Mhm.
and those grief waves, how they might
Sure.
look.
And we can all feel it, right? Like especially when somebody's expressing through art and,
Yeah,
and they're diving into their feelings without having to express it verbally.
yeah.
Usually get more out of it, right?
I definitely think so. And that's something we lean on in a
Mhm.
lot of our support groups, especially with youth, is expression through art. I mean, words are hard
Yeah, well, then,
no
and
matter what.
especially for a 5, 6 year old that's
Yeah.
probably still kind of figuring it out,
Yeah.
maybe a little hard to get it out.
Exactly. Sometimes we even have to just go back and talk about death vocabulary. How do we
Mm,
explain what a casket is to a
sure.
5-year-old?
Right.
How do we explain what an urn might be?
Right.
And so then when you get to the emotional processing, I think art really is invaluable to that.
We're catching up with Megan for the Collective of Hope here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. You can't help but see your passion for this when you speak about it. What's your favorite thing about what you get to do?
Oh, I think I love a ton of different things, but truly my favorite part is getting to learn about the stories and the people that are still remembered.
Mm,
I feel like I know so many individuals who are deceased,
sure.
but I know who they are and I know the impact that they continue to have on so
Right.
many people in Omaha and beyond.
Did you always think that would be your favorite part, or has that part kind of caught you off guard?
Oh, it's definitely caught me off guard. I
Mhm.
thought my favorite part was gonna be, oh, I don't know, networking or something,
Sure, sure.
right? But my favorite part is truly getting to know why we think of
Mm,
death and loss and why it's so important to continue talking about those people, though they
sure.
might be deceased. And so I try to talk about it now, even when we're not in our programs ourselves, but just outside in my daily life. If I
Right.
know someone who is going through a loss, I try to ask them questions about their person because it's so nice to talk
Because
about
they
them.
and they may not know they want to talk about it, but if you're just honestly asking to ask, it may kind of release that for them as
Totally.
well. We met through networking, technically, networking adjacent through somebody that we both network with. How has networking helped the Collective for Hope? And obviously with fundraising, I'm sure, but is there any other ways that that kind of helps what you guys do?
Oh, totally. We have actually a wide array of partnerships that
Mhm.
we work with and for. So we work with Band of the Strong, whose focus is on artistic expression with young people 10 to 18. And so they are exploring grief through art, through writing, through music, through drama, whatever it might be. But we have a partnership with them. So they have creative nights at our facility every Tuesday.
Mhm.
Some other partnerships, we will often go to, say, the Sienna Francis House and give Grief 101 presentations
Sure.
to communities there. We'll go and do education, how to respond if maybe an organization has lost someone on staff. a death on staff, we'll go to them and educate the staff there on how they can support one another. So those networking, those connections are great.
So at my previous job, this is a few years ago, my boss stood up in a meeting and had a brain aneurysm right in front of everybody.
Wow.
And they didn't it was a lot of it was over Zoom because it was during the pandemic. There were a lot of people there in person, and the responses that people gave, they definitely could have used something like that. And I didn't even think about that till you just said it out loud.
Totally.
Because I mean, like, that's just obviously something that you don't expect to see in your day-to-day life.
No.
You mentioned that you partner with a bunch of different people. How can people donate if they want to be a sponsor, if they want to donate monetarily, things like that?
Yeah, so they can go to our website, thecollectiveforhope.org. We have a donation homepage right there. You can donate to any specific program, or you can just give us funds to use for different projects that we're doing. So we are, again, completely donation funded. And so everything goes back into our community and back into giving people this space to talk about their loss, talk about their grief.
Is there any way you personally would like to see the Collective for Hope grow over the next 2 to 3 years?
Oh, yeah. I think I would love to see us kind of diversify more of our programming, especially with young adults.
In what way?
So in the past, we have had a group specifically for young adults.
Okay.
I'm only 24, so I myself am a young adult.
Absolutely.
And I see now in a lot of our programming that we get some of the more retired ages. We get older individuals in our community. And I know that there are young people like me who are grieving just the same and who might be just a little put off by the idea of a support group.
Well, yeah. And I think it's important for you to be able to relate to the people you're talking to too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so a group specifically for young adults, I think would be really great to see people in those similar experiences, just like we have groups for our teens and tweens, for our elementary age.
Well, and I think it's important to point out, and I'm about 12 years older than you, but like it seems like your generation is more willing to get therapy or talk or express too. So that's really surprising me that you need to grow that portion of it, because that seems like the audience that would be the most likely to come be a part of this.
I think that audience is definitely one that is therapy minded, but not so much with others.
Okay. Good
I
point.
feel like we are more alone. We want to do things in private, maybe instead of with a community kind of group format. But other than young individuals, I mean, I would really love to see us enter into Council Bluffs, Southwest Iowa. We're one of the only grief support centers between Chicago and Denver. And so we serve a wide portion of the Midwest. And so to be able to just cross the river a little bit, expanding into Southwest Iowa, I think we would be able to talk to so many more people, having camps there, doing events there, just as we do in Omaha too.
Well, if you're one of our neighbors to the east and you're looking to get, with work, with a great group that are helping people with grief, check out thecollectiveforhope.com. We covered a lot today. Is there anything about the Collective for Hope that we haven't mentioned that people should know about?
I would say check out our calendar, check out our programming. We have groups for every age demographic, groups that cover a multitude of losses and loss experiences. And again, special events just like we're doing on May 17th. We're always updating, always improving. So keep checking back for more.
If you have time to donate, please do so. If you if you are suffering a loss and would like to just be around people that can understand the process you're going through, stop down May 17th, downtown Omaha, and be a part of Remembrance Day. Megan, thank you for doing this. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks to everybody that joined, liked, and commented today. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. We'll see you in the morning.